Randy has spun the wheel and it's going. Randy has won $200. Nice job, Randy.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Centers for Disease Control and the Atlanta Police Department. At 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, there were reports of a mutated strain of an unknown virus escaping from the testing labs at the CDC headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. This disease stems from a failed attempt at a cure for dwarfism, as one of the workers mishandled the strain in one of the testing labs. At this time, nothing is known about this virus, like symptoms, incubation period, mortality rate, or methods of transmission. At this time, if you live within 5 miles of the CDC headquarters, you are ordered to stay indoors, as it is unknown whether this virus poses a threat to civilians. Stay tuned to local media outlets for more updates on this dangerous situation.
Chips to fire sale. We are selling everything down to the core. Cameras, tripods, lenses, even film.
We will have more updates on the condition of Tom Glavine as the Braves look to snap a 4-game skid at the hands of the Florida Marlins. In other news, there appears to be an outbreak of a mutated strain of infection, and it has made its way to many Atlantans.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Atlanta Police Department. Reports are coming in of a serious infection spreading across the city of Atlanta. In addition, symptoms of this infection have been observed. They include nausea, vomiting, blurred vision, fever, chills, and minor skin irritation. To add to this virus is both airborne and spreads through bodily fluids and can spread through bodily contact. As a result of a high influx of emergency calls relating to this disease, the number of emergency response personnel across the city has been greatly reduced, and the 911 system has experienced significant outages in the area. At this time, all residents of the city of Atlanta are strongly encouraged to get indoors immediately. This is not a mandatory order, but is strongly encouraged to avoid infection. If you chose to not stay indoors, take any precautions to avoid infection, such as wearing a breathing mask and doing as much as possible to avoid any contact with those who are infected. Those who chose to stay indoors are advised to keep their doors and windows closed and are advised to seal all cracks on doors or crevices with tape or damp towels. If you chose to, you may sterilize any contact surfaces. Do not share any contaminated food, drinks, thermometers, or any basic consumable items previously used by infected persons. If you believe you may be infected, you should go to a hospital for treatment. Stay tuned to local media outlets for more updates on this situation. This message was transmitted at the request of local authorities in your area. Do not call 911 unless you have an emergency or new updates on this situation.
We interrupt your programming to bring you breaking news out of Atlanta. Reports are coming in that people have become infected with a very serious contagion, and the symptoms of this contagion are downright horrifying to say the least.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Atlanta Police Department. Reports are coming in of a dangerous virus that is spreading around the city of Atlanta. In addition, the virus has spread to other areas. The following counties have been affected: Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, Cobb, Cherokee, Forsyth, Clayton, and Hall. New, more severe symptoms have been reported with this disease as well. They include bleeding from the orifices, vomiting or coughing up blood, petechiae on the skin, loss of blood flow to the fingers and toes, loss of hair on the body, a sudden craving for inanimate objects, an increase in size of the jaw and overbite, and a yellowing, tanning, or lightening of the skin. Reports of people suddenly collapsing and falling into a coma are starting to come in at such a high volume that 911 systems have simultaneously failed across the area. Hospitals are receiving a high volume of patients infected with this virus, resulting in high wait times. Due to the spread of this disease, a state of quarantine has been issued for the previously mentioned counties. All residents are ordered to stay indoors, with all entrances sealed. If anybody in your home is infected, take proper measures to keep them quarantined from uninfected persons. Do not take infected persons to a hospital, as hospitals are experiencing high wait times. Violent and unruly behavior will not be tolerated and will result in prompt arrest. Do not make an emergency call unless of an actual emergency. This message was transmitted at the request of local authorities in your area. Please stay tuned for further instructions. interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Atlanta Police Department. Those that were infected with the virus and induced into a coma are waking up from their comas and are undergoing a series of dangerous changes. Those infected are undergoing an extreme increase in muscle mass leading to intense strength, increased hardness of the skin, and increased height of anywhere from 9 to 50 feet tall. These civilians were reported to be in a catatonic state and were seen to not be interacting with their environment. At this time, all residents of the city of Atlanta and surrounding suburbs are ordered to stay away from those who appear to be in a coma, as well as those that have woken up and entered this unknown trance. Stay tuned to local media outlets for more updates on this dangerous situation. This message was transmitted at the request of local authorities in your area.
Since 1908, we have always put our students before us. The Georgia Institute of Technology has the best architectural program in all of Georgia.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Atlanta Police Department. This is not a test. The people that have woken up from their comas are now reported to have become homicidal and are attacking people all around the city of Atlanta as well as surrounding suburbs. Those infected by the virus have also appeared to undergo transformations and become homicidal in as little as 15 minutes. These creatures seem to resemble Titan-like creatures from the attack on Titan anime series. There have been disturbing reports of these creatures getting a hold of uninfected civilians, lifting them into the air, and then quickly consuming them alive. These creatures have the following characteristics: retained basic intelligence, resistance to bodily harm such as gunfire, increased height of up to 50 feet, increased strength, and resemble male human beings, only with no reproductive organs. These creatures have almost completely destroyed the city of Atlanta and seem to be moving farther out into the suburbs. If you become infected with the virus or ingest any bodily fluids from one of these Titan creatures, you will turn into one of them yourself. All residents of the Atlanta metropolitan area are ordered to evacuate the city as soon as possible. Do not shelter in place, as these creatures can cause damage to even well-built structures. When you evacuate, take food, water, clothing, medical supplies, and a battery-powered radio without an LCD display. Stay tuned to local media outlets on this dangerous situation. Evacuate Atlanta now. To repeat, evacuate Atlanta now. This message was transmitted at the request of local authorities in your area.
We interrupt your programming as there is a situation that we must inform you of.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Georgia State Police Department. The situation with the Titan-like creatures that has affected the city of Atlanta has been reported in other areas as well. The virus and Titans have made their way to several cities throughout the state of Georgia. They include Savannah, Augusta, Macon, Athens, Warner Robins, Valdosta, Roswell, Johns Creek, Douglasville, Whiteside, Woodstock, Tifton, and Flowery Branch. These creatures have caused massive damage throughout the state of Georgia over the past 1.5 hours. These creatures continue to consume any humans that they spot in their line of sight, even being reported to tear open structures or grab them in their vehicles in order to consume them. These creatures are no longer declared human. To repeat, these creatures are declared not human. All residents of the state of Georgia are ordered to evacuate to the north and west, where no reports of these creatures have been made at this time. Gather essential supplies to last 2 weeks, and gather any forms of identification for your journey. Tie a red towel to your home to tell authorities that you have evacuated. Then, evacuate to the north and west in a calm and orderly manner. Tie a yellow towel to your home if you need assistance. These creatures and the virus are expected to spread to other areas within the next 2 hours. Those who live in states neighboring the state of Georgia are under a voluntary evacuation and have been placed under martial law. Stay tuned to local and state media outlets for more information on this perilous situation. This message was transmitted at the request of local and state authorities in the area.
Good evening, Birmingham. We come to you with news that may be very hard to comprehend. At this time, the city of Birmingham, and frankly, the entire state of Alabama, is under attack. The Titan creatures that have wreaked havoc across the neighboring state of Georgia have made their way to the entirety of the southeast, and even extending its grasp to the low plains as well. Reports are coming in from as far east as Charleston to as far west as Amarillo.
We interrupt your programming. This is not a test. Local authorities have activated the emergency broadcast system to transmit this alert. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Reports the virus, as well attacks from Titans, have been reported in other states, now affecting areas throughout the lower plains and most of the southeast. States affected now include Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. In addition, the virus, now named TIT4N9XL, has been reported in these areas as well. These Titans have now been reported to emit intense body heat, enough that their bodies give off an odd-smelling steam that gives off foul smells of vomit. The intense body heat on these creatures can ignite any hot objects into flames. These creatures, as well as TIT4N9XL, are expected to spread throughout the entire United States within the next 4 hours. Residents of the aforementioned states, as well as neighboring states, are ordered to evacuate out of these states. Do not attempt to approach one of these creatures, as you will face certain death if you do so. Stay tuned to media outlets for more information on this escalating situation. This message was transmitted at the request of federal and military authorities in the area. We interrupt your programming. This is a national emergency. The President of the United States or his designated representative will appear shortly over the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. This message is to be broadcast on all television and radio frequencies. The following message is being transmitted at the direction of the President of the United States. This is not a test. Reports of attacks from Titan-like creatures were reported throughout the United States. The virus, TIT4N9XL, has also been reported in all 50 states. These Titan creatures were seen attacking any living human being that it spotted. These creatures are believed to be attacking the human race. At this time, all residents of the United States are strongly encouraged to follow these instructions. Stay away from these creatures. Do not approach them as you will only face a brutal and agonizing death at the hands of these creatures. Seek shelter as far underground as possible. Do not attempt to evacuate, as you will be putting yourself in extreme danger if you go outside. Use strict safety to protect your life, as well as others. Most importantly, do not panic. Panic will drastically hamper your chances of survival. Please await a message from the President, as he is expected to address the situation to the citizens of the United States shortly. This message was transmitted at the request of federal and military authorities in the area. Please stand by for a message from the President of the United States or one of his representatives.
Greetings, my fellow Americans. I am a representative of the President, as he is currently being evacuated from his current location due to the national emergency that is ongoing. He has advised me to make a statement to the American people on his behalf. I am here to announce that a national state of emergency is now in effect for the United States, as well as all overseas dependencies, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. An attack on the United States is currently underway. Attacks from extremely large humanoid creatures that are now known as Titans have been witnessed throughout our very country, on our own soil. We thought that this could only happen in Hollywood, but now this fictional threat has become a reality. As of 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the President has declared the continental United States under martial law. A nationwide curfew of 7 p.m. tonight has been put into effect, and any non-essential personnel must remain indoors. Any persons deemed non-essential caught outdoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. will be subject to arrest and detention with no legal counsel. All reserve military personnel and National Guard are ordered to report for immediate deployment. All emergency services will be federalized effective immediately, and will be taken over by the military. All landline and cellular telephone lines, as well as any communication, will be seized immediately for military use. At this time, our nation's borders with Canada and Mexico have been sealed until the end of this crisis. You may no longer seek shelter in private residences or shelters no matter the protection or how stocked said shelter is. Retain all ownership records of any private property, but do not attempt to transport or defend said property, and allow for the military to take control of said property at a moment's notice. Rest assured to you that rioting, looting, and civil unrest will be dealt with deadly force, as will any attempts at vigilantism or secessionist political activity. No questions at this time.
We interrupt your programming. This is a global emergency. This is not a test. This message is to be broadcast on all television and radio frequencies. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. Reports of attacks from Titans have been made across the world. Titans continue to cause massive damage across the world. These creatures continue to overrun governments and civilization. There is no possibility of escape. Many governments across the world have collapsed as a result of this event, and there are no contingency plans in effect to keep law and order in these areas. At this time, all residents are ordered to shelter far below underground. Gather supplies to last you 1 year, as well as any means of self-defense. Survival is not guaranteed, as these creatures can easily destroy any buildings made by mankind. Do as much as possible to prolong your survival. This message was transmitted at the request of federal and military authorities in the area.
We interrupt your programming. This is a global emergency. This is not a test. This message is to be broadcast on all television and radio frequencies. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. The world's governments are falling. The survival of the human race is not guaranteed. At this time, the broadcast will cease transmission and will go silent for your safety. At this moment, you will be given instructions through the emergency broadcast system. They will be given to you in less than 15 seconds. This message was transmitted at the request of federal and military authorities in the area. All broadcasting will be ceased immediately.